Oh my God. Too many cooks. How you guys doing? This is AlbuCrazy, another edition. I'm Ann.
I'm Tito.
How have you been, Tito?
Well, I've been doing pretty good since we last recorded, since we last talked. Although yesterday was not really great. I got home from work, and I'd previously bought a can of Four Loko at Smith's because I'd heard about it, but I never tried Four Loko.
Oh, no.
It's like a real, gas station kind of alcoholic lemony beverage. It was lemon flavored. I got home from work, and then I drank the whole can alone, and I fell asleep, and I woke up groggy, and so I went to take a bath, and I just sat in the bathtub for about an hour and a half.
Oh, no.
Not feeling great.
Oh. So,
and then I was like, that's enough of that. Let's be productive again.
It's a bummer of a summer, man.
Yeah. So, that was yesterday. Today, I'm doing great.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
How are you doing?
Codependently just clinging to my dog. She just got her teeth cleaned, and I'm acting like she just got major surgery to her spine or something. I'm ridiculous. You know, her anesthesia's taken like a day to wear off, and I'm sitting there watching her every move and making sure that she doesn't, fall off a couch or something.
It must have been, really nice for a day, though, to have the dogs not bark.
No, it wasn't a nice day. I missed it. If I could have, I would have been sedated right next to her, getting my teeth cleaned. It would have been like a spa day for both of us, like a horrific, spa day where we both get our teeth cleaned and maybe even have the vet tell us who had worse teeth. I bet it would be me. I bet.
Well, now I know something more. Yeah, okay. That's clearly been our weeks.
Yeah.
Well, for me, day, but today...
Just a few days into Donald Trump's America, so, I mean, the horror's just starting. You know, the fact that I could even think of my dog in a time like this tells you about my privilege.
Well, yeah, it does. Your dogs are really pampered. You pamper them well. They have a different suit for every hour of the day.
What can I say? They like to be styling.
Nice little fedoras.
Yeah. They outdo Kevin Federline. I make sure that they're in season too.
Oh man, I haven't heard the name Kevin Federline in so long. K-Fed.
K-Fed himself until he got fat and went on that celebrity diet again.
K-Fed himself without brushing his teeth, and then he had to go to the veterinarian tooth cleaning clinic. I
guess. Well, let's get to our guest. We have a wonderful guest today. His name is Will Wheeler. Hi, Will.
Hey, what's going on, Ann?
You are a Albuquerque native?
I am born and raised in Albuquerque.
Absolutely. That's awesome. What was your experience like growing up in Albuquerque?
Well, I lived on the west side for pretty much my whole life, and it got to a point where I was bouncing back between homes between my mom and my dad. My dad lived in Bosque Farms. And the rest of my family lived here in Albuquerque. So, and I lived on the west side, so it was, saw a bunch of crazy stuff living in Albuquerque.
So what was a crazy thing you saw when you were a kid growing up on the west side?
Just a lot of homeless people, and I remember seeing on the news when remember when they used to have that show Extreme Makeover House Edition?
Yeah.
They had an episode here in Albuquerque, and I remember seeing on the news that a bunch of people just went and ransacked all the vans and the trucks.
Wait, so they didn't even wait till they didn't ransack the house after it was done. Just they ransacked the crew.
The crew and everything that the crew brought. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Did they take the wheels off the trucks and everything?
And probably
leave 'em
graffitied on the
bricks?
side of it too. Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, like, if you could describe the West Side for me, because I've lived here for several years, but I still don't really have a firm grasp of, like, the West Side and this side and whatever. But I feel like you've already really painted a good picture, so I'll rescind my question.
Well,
Well,
I think the West Side, doesn't it have different aspects to it? Because I think there's a nicer West Side, and then I think I think of it as, some people think of it as a bad area, but I think of it as more of like a farming area.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you go like there's the west side and then what I consider like the further west side, which is the nice area.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just go to the regular west side. That's like where it's kind of like run down, so to speak. And if you go to like the South Valley part, that's more like what you were saying, a rural area where there's like people actually have cattle and farm animals and stuff. And then like part of the town of the west side where I live in, it's kind of like Little Mexico, so to speak, because there's like there's like 5 tire shops, 10 barber shops. I know one building across the street from where I live is literally a tire shop and a popsicle store in the same building.
Great.
That's excellent.
How much wood paneling would you say is in the West Side?
You know that commercial where they ask how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop and the world may never know?
Yes.
I think that's something similar to that.
All right.
The world may never know. When I was here, I think the craziest thing, but I saw it on the east side. It was a building that actually had a church and a liquor store in it, like both in one building.
Wow.
And I said, how is this even possible? So that's that story of the West Side. But like, there's something about where you're talking about, like Little Mexico, that's absolutely a great place. I've had friends who live there, and I used to go to dance rehearsal in those areas, and I would love spending days there because it was just, pretty quiet, it was pretty nice. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's something to be said about it. It's not just all run-down craziness, but there is that AlbuCraziness about things always, I mean, it could be real nice one minute and the next thing you know, a dog fight breaks out. You never know.
Yeah. Or you might see someone without their head on behind a Walmart.
Well, that's a nice segue into why we brought you on. So you have a pretty interesting job.
I do. It's very unique, you could say.
Tell me about it.
Tell me about
All right. Well, I work at a funeral home, and I'm on the transport staff, which means I work both days and nights. I work every day. At nights on call, and during the day, on the day shift, I'm actually at the funeral home doing whatever they need me to do and staying at the funeral home. But basically, I do transfers. I'll go pick people up from hospitals, nursing homes, OMI, and residential homes after they pass away. And then I'll do transfers from the care center to another funeral home, or from the care center to for them to get cremated, and so on and so forth.
Do you ever get tipped?
No.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Don't hit my house with the gurney. That's the only tips that I get. Lift with your legs, not your back.
That's a good tip.
That is
I
a good
guess.
tip. Yes. So I'm curious, like, what got you into this job? Because it's pretty unusual.
Well, you see, ultimately, I want to be a mortician, and I thought about getting into this line of work before I even joined the Navy. But I was like, I'm going to put that on the shelf for the time being, no pun intended. And then I went into the Navy, and then the last year I was in the Navy, I figured, yeah, this is what I want to do. Because I was thinking, what kind of a job, it's going to have a lot of work, or at least a steady amount of work, and it's going to be around for a long time. Well, I'm thinking I could be a doctor, a lawyer, be a barber. People die every day. I can look into that. And then, sure enough, and it's just like after I got out of the Navy, it just like all the cards just fell like perfectly in line, and here I am.
Oh, wow. And so you applied for this job with this, what was that interview like?
It was like any other interview that you would like for any job, they, ask for your name, your prior work experience. Do you have any experience with this? And, you got to get your, what I like to call your best white person voice on. So like, I think one of my best lines was, they asked you, well, how do you have any experience like dealing with families or talking to people? And I said, well, I don't have any experience in that particular area, but however, I am open to strengthening my weaknesses.
Wow. Yes. A bunch of buzzwords in that.
Yeah,
which is another way of saying I have no idea what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I don't know how to talk to people, but I can lift. I can lift, bro.
I can listen to other people talk and say the exact same thing they can say.
So you mentioned a weird part of this interview that you had. I immediately said, Will, shut up. Save it for the podcast. So now's the time to say it.
What? I don't remember, to be honest.
It was.
You said they locked you in.
Oh yeah, at the hiring
that?
part. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's just like, oh yeah, I went and got a drink of water, got locked inside the building. Yeah, went back to work. No. But yeah, so like the day I went in for the interview, like we met at like 4:00 or something, because I was working another job at the time, and we met at like 4:00, 5:00 after I got out of work, and the interview itself took like 20 minutes, something like that. And the person interviewing me said, all right, well, I'm very impressed with what I see. Just when you're done filling out the application, turn it into the front desk, and then we'll go from there. I'm like, all right. So filled out the application. Took me about 15, 20 minutes, and walked around to the front desk. The lights were off. Then I looked around at the front door. The deadbolt was across. And I was like, I think I'm by myself right now. And lo and behold, the only light in the whole building was in the room that I was in for whatever reason. And I walked around saying, hello, hello. The dead silence was killing me. And then I called the lady I had an interview with, and she said, the first thing she said, how long did it take you to fill out that application? I was like,
way to put it on you, right?
Right. Yeah. And then she started laughing. She's like, no, this is how we initiate the new people. Like, no, but she was laughing, and she guided me out of the building, and it was all good.
Wait, so she was still in the building? Was she like?
No, she guided me.
A couch or something?
No, she guided me over the phone. I gave her a call.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like now you belong to us. We like you. You're never leaving.
This is a Hotel California.
I was checking.
So, wanting to be a mortician, like, that's a very specific type of person. Like, I tried to be an EMT. I went to some semesters of it, and I realized, like, I can't get over my aversion to blood. So what am I doing? I remember trying to, like, sit down and watch Dexter as I ate dinner. Like, if I can get over all this like serial killer murder and bloodshed while I'm eating, then I can totally be an EMT. Not the case. So, did you ever like manage to get over the gore that you see, or have you always been a psychopath?
I don't know. It could be probably both. So, like, I remember the first time I saw something gory, so to speak, and it was on this website a long time ago called Rotten.com. And on Rotten.com, they have like every gory thing you could possibly think of. They don't update the site anymore. They haven't updated it in years, but you could still go on the website and check out everything that they have. But they have everything from they had everything from a guy getting cut in a knife fight to a guy getting his hand caught in a meat grinder to like a whole bunch of stuff. A terrorist getting shot in the head before he exploded his vest. All kinds of stuff. And like. You see doctor shows and everything like that, and like, oh, this is how the human body works, and then you look at books and stuff. But actually seeing it in person is like, wow, this is pretty cool. And it's like, and that's another thing I like about my job, because you see something new every single day. And death, like, in fact, it's not as ugly and scary as movies portray it to be. It's actually almost quite a beautiful thing to look at.
I think, and I'm something of a. I wouldn't say I'm a gorehound. I'm more interested in the way that, in a very clinical, interesting way, like interested in how the human body
Operates?
operates and goes through life, and how it experiences death. I follow different autopsy blogs and things like that where they show pictures, and they show different diagnosis and things like that. It's interesting, and it's going to happen to everybody. So I mean, it's the ultimate peace.
Yeah.
Sometimes people look at it like it's a horrible thing, but I think, it's the ultimate peace. And a lot of times death can bring gifts to the living more than not, because in the form of knowledge, in the form of prevention of things,
Well,
you could find
it gives
out.
life meaning. Like, if you didn't have death, then life would...
You wouldn't cherish it as much.
You wouldn't cherish it as much because we have death. Like, inherently, it gives life meaning.
Now, a mortician, that's just prepping for funeral services, correct?
Correct. Another word, if you don't use mortician, is embalmer.
Embalmer.
Yeah, and strictly all they do is prep the body for burial or cremation. Because sometimes I've seen where someone comes in and they want to be cremated, however, they still want to have like a open casket viewing, so to speak. And we, at least, I'm sure all funeral homes offer it, but we've done it numerous times, like almost on a weekly basis.
No.
They'll do like a mini prep on the individual, make them look nice and presentable, and then they'll have the viewing, and then they'll go cremate them later in the week or whenever the arrangements were.
Yeah, I mean, you are impeccably dressed.
Oh, thank you.
And you look great, and you sound great. When my mother died, I have to tell this story. When my mother died, she died in California, and I couldn't really afford a lot, so I wasn't going to go out to California, have a funeral. I just needed her cremated and sent to me, and I didn't know what to do, so I asked the local office, the coroner's office. I said, once again, we're talking about white people speak. I said, what is the most cost-effective way to get my mother cremated? And they said, you got to call this funeral home, it's Rose Funeral Home. So I call them, and the guy picks up the phone. Now, this guy, he doesn't answer Rose Funeral Home. He doesn't answer with the name of anything. He just goes, hello, in a country voice, Bakersfield, California. Total hillbilly. Hello.
Oh, so this is definitely like the cheapest option.
Yeah, and I was like, I was like, is this Rose Funeral Home? Yeah. Okay. Yes, I'm looking to get my mother cremated. That's going to be $5.99. That's $5.99.
$6.
And I was like,
I
was like, what do you? I felt like he was selling me a car on TV. Like, you can get this Dodge for $5.99. Like,
I feel like this is like along the lines of someone saying, "This is Chuck's funeral home. You stab him, we slab him."
Yeah, he was really like that. Like, this guy at this point is killing me because I want to laugh. Like at this point, like I'm like, I don't know whether to laugh or cry or all of it. It's just like not an I'm so sorry for your loss. You kind of just go, I'm sorry to hear about. I'm sorry for your loss. That'll be blah blah blah. No, none of that. It's gonna be $5.99. That's $5.99. And I was like, okay. I need to. I live in New Mexico, and I'm gonna need her ashes sent to me. All right. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get one of those flat rate boxes. And at this point, I'm ready to die. Like, I'm gonna get one of these flat rate boxes.
I'm gonna pour her into a cardboard box, tape up all the cracks, and hope for the best.
I'm gonna get one of those flat rate boxes. Yeah. So he mails her to me in a flat rate box.
Like a flat rate box from the post office?
Yes.
So he wasn't saying $599. He was literally saying $5.99.
I don't know. But yeah, it was. I mean, it was very inexpensive. You know, $600 isn't a lot to have a cremation done. I don't know if they're lower now.
I'm not sure what the pricing is. I'm not part. You're
not. You're not part of the sales.
Part of that
you're
process.
You're
no.
like I'm the guy who does it. I'm not the guy who sells it.
No.
But yeah, it was pretty inexpensive for the time, but it was just really funny. I think I feel like I went to Burn Mart or something. You know, like Cremate Mart.
Yeah. Someone with like a cheesy slogan like Wheeler's Funeral Home. You wheel them in, we wheel them out.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, that's a slogan for yours.
I could.
Wheeler.
Last name Wheeler.
I could.
He's like, I've been thinking about that. I've been sitting on that one.
So I'd like to hear some stories from your adventures in Albuquerque with dead people.
What
is
right.
like a very Albuquerquean story with your job?
I'd say one of the craziest ones is that, no matter how much the person weighs, you always want to put the heaviest part of them on a certain part of the gurney because it'll be easier to put them into the van. However, I had a brain fart one time and I didn't do that. So when it came time to wheeling them back into the van, I basically had to curl 300 pounds by myself into the van, and I only got half the gurney in there. And this was at a hospital, and luckily these two guys that worked in an ambulance went outside for a smoke break, and they saw me and they asked, "Hey man, do you need some help?" I'm like, "Yeah man, I really appreciate it." So they come and help me get the guy in the van, and without even thinking about it, I turn on and tell him, "Hey man, thank you very much. You're a lifesaver." And then without missing a beat, the guy turns around and says, "Hey, too bad I wasn't there sooner."
Boom. If we had a rim shot.
Rim
That'd be
shot.
perfect. Thank you.
Boom, boom.
So, I just had a brain fart.
I was gonna say, what's the craziest situation you ever came into on the job? Like when they called you, you showed up and you're like, "This is nuts." Like maybe hectic or.
I've seen not necessarily hectic, but like different situations from one end of the spectrum to the other. I've gone out on calls where there's like every single member of the family and their mother there to, kind of, I guess it was sort of a wake, so to speak. And then from that all the way to like someone that no member of the family was there, where it's just a person by themselves or just a really close friend. I've seen people act everywhere from just crying uncontrollably and almost not listening to what you're saying when you're telling them what's going to happen, all the way to them being more concerned about you hitting the walls of their house or their furniture with the gurney and like talking like an auctioneer and almost yeah. And almost like being rude, so to speak.
Like, this dead body's in my way.
Like
Would you please?
like we'll always ask them if they want to keep the sheets that the individual is on, and we asked, and she said, it rolled her eyes too. Why, do you need some? And like, no, we just always ask because some families like to keep the sheets, some like for them to go away. We can wrap them in our own sheet. Do you need some help doing it? Like, really rude. But
wow.
Clearly a failed marriage.
It's like I have nothing else to be mad at. This is
everything I wanted. I just want this gone.
People grieve in bizarre ways.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, maybe it's grief.
I mean,
maybe that person's just like a chronic asshole.
Yeah. I mean, like, grief hits people in different ways, different people in different ways. Sometimes it won't hit you immediately. It might hit you 2 weeks from then. It'll come in waves. It just varies on the person and their background and everything.
So, you were not like sitting around in the office just waiting to get a call. Like, you can go and do your own thing, and you were on call. Like, right now, you were on call.
Like, right now, as we are speaking, I'm on call.
So what's the most inopportune time to get a call? Something's happened to you.
While I'm on a date, actually. And this has happened more than once. So basically, what I love about my job is that it's something that I've wanted to do. It's a job where I get to wear a suit. I've always wanted a job where I get to dress up real nice. But one of the great things about it is that, aside from helping families and everything, it gives me an excuse to get out of any situation. So like, I could be at a family function. Man, I don't want to be here anymore. Hey, man, work's calling me. I gotta go. I could line up 3 dates on the same day and like go on date number 1. All right, this is going good. All right, I'm gonna call her back later. But oh man, hey, I gotta go. And I'll tell them ahead of time. That way, I'm not just being rude. I'll tell them ahead of time. Hey, I'm gonna be on call.
Wow.
But if I get a call, I'm gonna have to go work. Okay, that's fine, no problem. So we'll go on date number 1. Everything's going smoothly, but it's time for date number 2. I get in my car, watch them drive away in their car, get out of my car, go back in the same coffee shop for date number 2. Date number 2 is going pretty bad.
Shit, Will. I never thought that there was a perfect solution to this like classic sitcom episode, but this is it.
And also, Will, I mean, you don't look like the kind of person who would date 3 women at the same time. So to hear this is absolutely shocking to me.
Well, you
like,
see,
this is killing me. Like Will is secretly
he's very-
gangsta. Like he's secretly
He's very crisp,
pimpin'.
always dapper.
at any given time, I have 3 to 5 people in my stable.
these hoes.
That's right.
Wow.
Life's short. You got to go out and get it.
I guess.
It's 2017, man. You can't be chivalrous like you were back in 1852 anymore.
Says the man in the 3-piece suit.
I'm not gonna lie. I went on a speed dating thing one time, right? This was back at Comic-Con a
Was
couple
this like
weeks
a
ago.
secret speed dating thing, or did they know that they were part
No,
of it?
Oh, no, it was a
they
big
knew
one.
it was part of it. So you know how Comic-Con happened a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that
So
thing.
they had like a sci-fi speed dating thing over there,
Okay.
and I was like, I gotta throw my money down for this. So you got three.
Gangsta sci-fi nerd.
You're fighting all the nerds for the cute nerd girls.
Mm-hmm. So basically, everyone has a number on their chest. All the dudes you get 3 minutes to talk to someone. They say switch. You go to the next person, and then you start talking to them, so on and so forth. You write down, if you like them, you write down their number on an index card. At the end of it, you get a piece of paper. You write your number down on it. Then you go to the other table. You write down. You find all the papers of the numbers that you liked. You write down your first name, your phone number, and then you go back to your table. You see how many phone numbers you collected at the end of it. I got 2 numbers. They had more sessions, but I was only able to do 1. I got 2 numbers, and honestly, I felt like I should have gotten a lot more. Because I know a lot of people always say, don't toot your own horn, but why not? Who better knows the tune, right? I'm just saying.
Oh.
I was wearing a custom tailored suit from the Men's Warehouse, not clean, crisp, new haircut. I know I'm not a supermodel, but I'm at least an 8. All right. I'm just saying. I think a lot of them forgot to write my number down on the index card, and a lot of people just don't know a good thing when they see it, man.
They were just too stunned. They were blinded by the light to put your phone number down.
I'm just saying.
So I'm curious if you did this, like you have 3 minutes, you have probably like gotten a pitch
If I
down, right? So like imagine, we're here. Like what kind of hair color do you like? Red.
I'm not prejudiced, man. I like everyone.
Okay, imagine I have rainbow colored hair then. Like,
Okay.
give me the pitch.
Well, basically, so like I don't stumble and give like a wrong story because you see stuff on movies where people go into bars and they lie like I'm an astronaut, I'm a NASCAR driver. No, I use the same script on every single person so I don't fuck up.
Hi, I'm Theodosia.
I'm Theodosia. I would just be like to the point. This is my top 3 fandoms. I'll have me all like.
I like
I
Battlestar
can't-
Galactica.
Yeah.
I like Dragon Ball Z still for some reason.
Yeah,
Yeah, list
Like-
your top 3 fandom.
like you open up. Like I stumbled on the first couple because how do you get someone's interest in 3 minutes? And like I figured it out. You got to be as narcissistic as possible.
So show us.
So basically,
Show me.
you open up with a couple of easy in questions. Oh, I really like your costume. Did you make it yourself? Where's it from? Or what'd you come to Comic-Con for? And then you're like, oh, do you have any hobbies? Blah 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 blah. Oh, what do you do? And then, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember a lot of the things that they say until like the third date.
I already guessed that.
Oh god. Oh,
As
Will.
long as I remember their first name, that's all that matters.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I'm just saying. All right, so they say, so what hobbies do you do? Well, now that I'm back in Albuquerque, I do stand-up comedy. Back in Albuquerque, where were you beforehand? Oh, I'm glad that you asked. Well, when I was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, while I was in the Navy, I was on a submarine, not to mention, I used to take lessons in ballroom dancing. Oh, you know how to dance and tell jokes? That's awesome. Next.
Talking about your submarine like you're
Yeah.
talking about your dick.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I was on a submarine.
Oh my god.
I would seriously want to tear into you if you talked about your goddamn submarine on a date with me. How dare you? How dare you?
No, I really was on a submarine, though.
I know, that doesn't fucking matter. I know where Norfolk is. I used to live in Hampton, man. All you guys are in the Navy. Everybody's been on a damn submarine.
That's why you can't use that line over in Norfolk.
Oh man.
I love Will, but I'm just saying, our speed date would end up in a fight.
Probably.
Isn't that how most of them would end up with you though?
Yeah, probably. I either really want to have sex with you or I'm going to fight you.
There's like no middle ground. If you're just like some nice guy, it's not gonna.
You either leave with my phone number written in ink
Blood.
or your hand stabbed with something. Like, ugh.
There's going to be ink in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Something's going to be dripping.
I'm gonna name that. That's gonna be my first album title.
Something's
gonna be dripping. So let's go into our
Another thing.
news segment
Our news segment.
because we're at 32.
All right. Well, I do have a quick question. We might cut this out. But you were just talking about the speed dating thing. So I'm curious, Will, what, as a person who's seen like a lot of death, blood, and everything, like what turns you on?
Honestly, at this point in my life, because, as much as I like having sex with people, I've had my sex, but at this point, at this point, as long
So
as
you get a bunch of numbers and then you just never call them?
oh, I do,
I've had my sex. It's. Oof.
yeah, no,
I'm
like
full.
This pomegranate's empty.
no, like it doesn't matter what race you are, how old you are, how tall you are, how short you are. It doesn't matter. It's just as long as you look presentable and you're cool to hang out with, and you're not a bitch. Honestly, those are my 3 wickets.
Okay.
Mm.
I feel like everybody.
And you have can have a sense of humor, because I have since I was in the Navy, I'd say a lot of crude jokes often. So as long as you can realize when I'm kidding around, we're good, man.
All right.
All right, ladies listening out there.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's Will. Clearly confident ladies man.
Yeah.
Dresses like a confident scientist at a dinner function.
An American version of 007.
Oh my god. All right. We're going to Google Albuquerque and check out the very first news story that comes up. I've just done that. And the most recent Albuquerque headline is Police Arrest Man Connected to Albuquerque Gang.
Ooh.
Yes. So Albuquerque police have caught more members of a violent gang of young people wreaking havoc around the city. They were found near the Warren Sandia apartments. After a SWAT standoff, police arrested 4 people, including Christian Wood, who they believe is behind an armed robbery at a gas station and several stolen vehicles. This is a great plug for the city of Albuquerque, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Didn't
Yeah,
they
we got-
ban the show Cops from coming here?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Because
It made Albuquerque look bad?
yeah.
And they kept coming here so much. They actually returned here, I think, more than any other city.
Mm-hmm.
So Albuquerque's like, no, you
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
keep coming back. You can't keep using us like this.
When good old Mayor Marty Chavez was back in office, told him he can't come in here anymore.
Police say Wood is part of the gang connected to a police chase a series of car and home break-ins, the shooting of one resident, the murder of a teen, and the killing of Moose, the Great Dane, in the East Mountains. I don't know what that is.
That sounds like like a very popular dog, like that everybody should know. Oh, remember Moose? I remember his Saturday show. Every Saturday morning, I'd watch Moose, the Great Dane.
Remember his freakish antlers?
Oh gosh.
That's the entire article. That's it.
No videos, no interviews, nothing?
Nope.
You know what? It's not an Albuquerque story unless it leaves you with more questions than answers.
Yeah, Albuquerque is like lost in that way.
And then you'll die many years later wondering whatever happened.
Wait, was it all a dream? Were we dead the whole time? I don't know. Maybe that's how Albuquerque works.
What is this bullshit non-committal ending?
You know, Albuquerque is not Albuquerque unless you hear about no less than 3 murders on the news every day.
Okay. Like there's some good stuff in Albuquerque, though, right, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
What is... You're a native here, so
yes.
What does Albuquerque mean to you? What's like a really positive, beautiful memory like from your childhood here?
I've always loved the scenery, and there's always something to do. And like this is what gets on my nerves a lot of time when people shit on Albuquerque or New Mexico in general. There's nothing to do here. I'm gonna move out of this. It's the land of entrapment. No, there's shit to do every single day of the week. You just got to find it, because that is one of our downfalls. We don't advertise anything. Like, I met a lot of people that didn't even know Comic-Con was here, and that was a pretty big thing. And everything from big stuff to little stuff, there's stuff to do. You know, if you're an outdoorsy person, I would recommend going up on the tram, or like walking around, taking tours. Like
there's so many places to hike. When my father was here, he loved the hiking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the mountains are beautiful.
Yeah, and there's like a bunch of tours in Albuquerque. Like, if you're a TV fan of Breaking Bad, there's like 2 or 3 tours of Breaking Bad that go around Albuquerque. If you're a paranormal fan, there's a couple ghost tours. There's one in Old Town, which I've taken twice, which is awesome. I'd highly recommend it.
Aren't there ghost hunting groups too?
Yes.
And so that's something you can join. I've seen like meetup groups for that, so you can make friends, go hunt ghosts together. If you're into it.
That actually kind of reminded me. I saw a thing the other day called rentafriend.com. You can actually rent someone as a friend and to actually show you around the area if you wanted to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a real thing. And you can actually put yourself on there, and you could charge people up to $50 an hour. And you can work so many hours. You list what you can do. You could teach them how to cook, teach them how to dance, what you're knowledgeable in, and then you rent yourself out to people as a friend.
Aww.
I could teach them how to drink Four Loko.
Just
sit in a bathtub.
Sit in a bathtub.
Yep.
That is something you can do.
And then, and on the ghost tours, there's also one in downtown.
Okay. I believe I have been on that one. No, Old Town. Old Town was the one I went on.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was cool. Very historically rich. Yeah. It was great having you in here and talking to you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me on the show. It's been awesome, man. I had a really fun time.
Cool. So, before we end, is there anything that you would like to plug that you're doing, or anywhere that people can find you? Well,
you're not going to find me unless I want to be found, because I like to stay off the grid. However, I do perform stand-up comedy on Sunday at Bozy Brothers Brewery, which Tito actually hosts every Sunday. I do Back Alley every Monday, and Red Door Downtown every Wednesday.
Awesome. That's a great place to see Will.
Yeah. It was great. Anything for you?
You can always find me on Twitter at Gora. That's usually the best place to see anything that I'm doing for shows. I'll advertise there. Otherwise, you can check the hospitals, check the jails, look at, maybe check into PetSmart, look in the dog clothes aisles. I'm usually there.
Buying something more for your dogs?
Yeah.
Well, I run a comedy open mic at Bozy Brothers Brewery on 6th and Gold every single Sunday at 8 o'clock in downtown Albuquerque. It's fantastic. Also, plug. Donald Glover of Community fame. He also released a stand-up album called Weirdo. He's done several rap albums. His Childish Gambino. He just released a new album called Awaken My Love, which has him not rapping at all, just doing a bunch of weird, not weird, but great singing, going back to a very 70s funk soul feel.
Nice.
Very, very cool. It's probably the greatest album I've ever heard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's everything. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Will.
Thank you
for coming on.
Thank you,
and
Will.
talking with us. Thank you, Anne, for
Thank you,
being
Tito. You.
Finger guns.
Finger guns.
All right, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Shut up!